to say that the couple of people who have been a part of the law enforcement agencies and governance, they also were due. So we'll start with the first primary question. Have you been a victim of a cyber crime? So on an online mode, I may still ask one or two people if they can tell me if they were a victim of a cyber crime. Our last count on a national research says that 48% of the people who took part in that particular survey, out of 2,300 odd participants, nearly 48% where some way or the other they were trapped in a cyber crime. So that's the first point, whether you have been a victim of cyber crime or not. And secondly, how comfortable do you feel in this insecure, broken cyber world? And this has remained insecure for at least last 2 decades or might be more. And we have not progressed very well in this particular part of the game. So if you are not confident, and we are getting really head on in the cyber world, then certainly there is an issue. Now the third point is, okay, you have been a part of the cyber world and you have been interacting and all that, and you were insecure. Then how confident do you feel of the investigative and the governmental support? In the physical world, if you land into some issue, so all of a sudden, whatever you're looking, you generally meet with an accident. Once the accident takes place, I think without you asking for anything, governmental support is forthcoming. Now here there is a situation where you are completely isolated, you are all alone, there are no support systems, and you have just a gadget in your hand. Mostly it's a phone, might not be even a laptop. At that particular situation, how confident do you feel that any of the investigative agency, trauma support, crisis management, or governmental support will be forthcoming? So this is the primary issue which we intend to deal as a part of this lecture. The purpose of the lecture is primarily educational in nature. It is not to flaunt anybody's technical skills, or it is not a technical lecture. Primarily, awareness is the name of the game. With huge amount of such incidents happening, and reasonable amount of awareness campaign having taken in this particular direction, still we are facing this music. So there is a need that there is a media blitzkrieg of every type, and organizations of the nature of UGC, which command so much of authority, respect, and they can crisscross this whole country in a matter of no time on the online mode. It is necessary, and I'm extremely grateful and happy that I've been provided this opportunity to use the UGC platform to bring digital arrest to the center stage and the place which it deserves, and also to basically provoke both the victims, the potential victims, the government, and our support systems as to how we should move further and where we are lacking and in which manner can we move ahead. I think all of us would have heard of arrest, and all of us have a fair idea as to how arrest happens. I think nearly we are sure of the fact that it is done by the police primarily, and it is basically against somebody who has a criminal record, he is a suspect, or he has committed a crime, or he is in the process of running away, or he will come in way of any criminal proceedings. Primarily, that person will tamper evidence, and that is why this person is arrested. It's generally known that bail is the norm and arrest is an exception. So this is where we stand. So if we have this backdrop in mind, it makes things very, very clear. It makes things very clear to you that arrest is not a normal thing, and you will be held responsible or held accountable, or you will be brought to the book only when there is a criminal case against you, or there is enough suspect that you would be part of the criminal case. So it is to prevent the person from committing more offenses, for the easing of investigation of the offense, prevent the person from them tampering with evidence. We will not get into the back end of it and how things have changed in the digital cyber world. As we progress with this lecture, I think we will have sufficient amount of instances, anecdotes, and references by which you will be able to make out as to how we have progressed and where we are. So this is where we are. So from the physical arrest, we have come to the digital arrest. Now, digital arrest is primarily an imagination of the scamsters, of the cyber criminal scamsters who have been laying their hands on variety of innovative methods and finally have reached a place where they have created something out of nowhere, which is digital arrest, and they have been successfully dealing with it to a tune of 120 crores from the month of January to April, as per the data released by the Government of India. As Honorable Prime Minister told on that Sunday afternoon as to what is digital arrest, and he talked about FAREB and variety of other things. So primarily it means a deceptive tactics used by cyber criminals to defraud victims. So what is the purpose? The purpose is to make money. The purpose is to get to the victim in the most sophisticated manner without bringing any encumbrance to the cyber criminal. There is no provision of digital arrest worldwide. But my understanding is why people have started believing it is primarily for the reason that when everything has gone online, there is a general presumption that arrest also would have gone online, or might be there is a presumption that things will be going in a direction where government has started doing variety of things online, and might be criminal investigation also would not be left out of this purview. So whatever might be the reasons to be unsuspecting of a legal process which does not exist. The reality today is that it has become an accepted norm by nearly all the victims, and there are very few victims who have been able to come out, and there are very few victims who have been able to take on the cyber criminals and teach them a lesson. So to convince the victims that they have the authority to arrest them digitally. So this is I think the game changer. If they make you believe that they have the authority to arrest you. So I think they have literally won with the game. And this is beyond that. It is primarily a question of process. It is a question of how things will evolve. It is a question of how much you will react. It is a question of how much money we have. It is also a question of how much of further information they can elicit out of you. And depending on the information they elicit out of you, is also a very dynamic sort of an exercise which goes on. And you will find it very difficult to believe that out of the information which they elicit out of you, immediately they are able to make arrest papers, they are able to make Supreme Court directive and variety of other things, which adds to your reinforcement of the idea that they are digital people, they are following a legal process, and while following a legal process, they are doing what they are doing. One very fascinating aspect of the whole exercise is that at times they will also accept the fact that you are not involved in this particular crime. But unfortunately, your Aadhaar card, or might be your PAN card, or any of your documents have been used for this particular crime. And the crimes which they talk about are the crimes which literally put a chill down your spine. And as they put this chill down your spine, you start behaving in a totally different manner. As to where you reach at the end of the day, I think as we progress with this lecture, you'll be able to realize. So, what is the definition of a digital arrest? As the scamsters have made it out to be, there is nothing official about it, legal about it, technical about it, and there is no definition of digital arrest anywhere in the legal, public, official, governance, law enforcement, investigation, or intelligence domain. So the definition which we take it, depending on whatever practice has happened and the nature of crime, is a novel cyber crime technique where perpetrators impersonate law enforcement officials. So this is the definition of cyber crime, which deals with digital arrest and which has made it a very, very lucrative sort of a cyber crime enterprise. What is the goal? Goal is very, very simple. It is to extort money from the victim through fear and intimidation. So regarding that, there is absolutely no doubt. And this is precisely what they have been doing. And in the first 4 months, of this current year, they have been able to make 120.3 or 120 for 5 crores of this particular exercise. I'll try to give you a basic understanding as to where we are. Though these digital arrests have been making very big news, and after Honorable Prime Minister flagged it, so it has become a totally different story. The reality of the matter is that global cybercrime annually would be reaching $10.5 trillion in 2025. So where is $10.5 trillion and where is our 120 crores? So you can well imagine as to where we are. Nonetheless, in digital arrest, most of the people who are duped come from influential and a good background. And most of the digital arrest of what I know and people I've interacted with, and I've interacted with quite a few of them, I think the minimum money they would have made out of this particular enterprise would not be anything less than 3 to 5 lakhs, and the maximum going to nearly 7 crores in a digital arrest by the CEO of Vardhaman Enterprises, if I remember the name of the company correctly. And in an investment sort of a scam, 9 crores from an ophthalmologist in Hyderabad. So these are reported losses. The actual cost of the cybercrime can be much higher because there are lots of other things which go into the cybercrime and the way it impacts and other losses which come because of the cybercrime. So in the cybercrime toolkit, digital arrest is one small element. So that is to give you a fair idea as to where we are. But we need to understand the Indian scenario. And we also need to understand as to what is the nature of loss which is happening in this country in the last couple of years, primarily from 2022. I think this whole onslaught of cybercrime has transformed, has metamorphosed, and has become exponential, courtesy the COVID days. COVID made us into a digital animal, a digital native, even people who were not into the digital mode of interaction, they were actually left with no choice. And this is where we are. Digital arrest, I've told a couple of times, 120.3 crores. Trading scams is 1420.48 crores. And these investment scams, I feel that this figure might not be the real figure, but it is 222.58 crores. We'll not get into the other parts of it. So cyber fraud, there has been 46% increase to reaching to a tune of 1,776 crores. Now, over the last couple of days, there is a cyber crime infrastructure which has developed in the government of India level with I4C and variety of other mechanisms by which they are able to monitor, supervise, control, disseminate, coordinate, collaborate the activities of the government of India through its agencies and also the state police and through variety of other agencies, private partners, might be telcos, banks, and all the other stakeholders which are at the receiving end, couple of them, and couple of them are still neutral and indifferent to this whole exercise. So nearly 7.5 lakh complaints have been reported within the first 4 months of this particular calendar year. It was 15.15 last year, and in the year 2022, it was 4.52. The issue primarily means as to why this increase has happened. So there's point number one. Point number two, which is equally important and I think more concerning, is that increase, has it anyway led to the improvement of our investigative mechanism? Have we done a better deep dive into these complaints? Have we used any of these AI tools and variety of other investigation tools plus intelligence tools which are available in the market and available with the governments, available with the private agencies? Are we using that or not? Have we able to develop some patterns? Are we in a position to do some predictions? Or what we have been doing is advisories and also communicating to the stakeholders that where we stand and what is the total quantum of crime and an effort to collaborate to bring it to a stop or to bring it to a position where we can say that we have sufficient amount of control over whatever is happening in this particular arena. So what is the backdrop? Why did we reach a situation where we have reached? It has been a trend worldwide that the governments have not made any effort to legislate on the cyber crime in the manner the physical crimes have been legislated and to take it through. The second point is that cyber crime, if it is legislated, say 20 years back, and the way it stands today, that particular statute will not be of any great use. Third, the enforcement and the investigative mechanism, the way they respond and the wherewithal they have, I think the cyber quality of life. From where this whole thing starts, if you get a call, a video call, or in whichever manner you are communicated to by the cyber criminal, he will give you details about you. He'll give you data points about you. He'll also give you a he is aware of the crime. And the first point which I spoke earlier, so that point was that you have already started believing that he is the man in position, that he is the man in position, and he is going through a legal technical process. And also at times, he is trying to support you. And you only need to give some information, go through some process, and after that you will be free. How it pans out, that's a different story. The next point is the broken IT governmental system. So most of the places, as far as the enforcement and investigation goes, those particular components they don't collaborate. They're still working on archaic systems, and the governmental system we will take to two further concentric circles. So it is the telcos, which your telecommunication companies and the banking companies, where the police and the investigative agencies, if they send a mail today, they will get a reply mail in 3 days' time or 5 days' time or 10 days' time. And there will be just a whole list of accounts through which this money has been siphoned off, which is not of any great use to the investigative agency. Whereas the cyber criminal is working at an lightning speed, at an instantaneous level. And to support the cyber criminal, the government also in that particular component in the banking and the telco arena is also working at a spontaneous level, at an instantaneous level, at the level of a split second. So money transfer is happening at a split second level, and the response to that is happening at a snail pace. So it's a part of an ongoing cyber crime onslaught. The challenge is that as we move further, lots of the cyber crime and the capabilities which are gained by the cyber criminals are also utilized for a much more formidable sort of a war, cyber attack or cyber war or a war of attrition or a persistent attack. It can be anything. So a social engineering and psychological pressure methodology is used to dupe money. What is social engineering? Social engineering is something wherein it is not the tech, might be it's not even the legality, but it is understanding of you, your weaknesses, your thought process, nature of things by which you will get influenced, and arranging for all those things and coming to you in a very neatly packaged format, which you will find very difficult to disbelieve. So this is what is social engineering all about. It has been used for variety of purposes. It was used in Brexit. It has been used in 2016 US elections, and it's been regularly used for variety of purposes. Fishing expedition or the fishing nature of crime, which also is the first component of the most heinous of the cyber crimes, that is ransomware. So phishing primarily happens because of the social engineering capabilities. You are phishing, you are on the different nature of activities which you intend to do or which you actually do. So how does the digital arrest work? So there's somebody, the nature of the way he gets communicated to you, the way he interacts, all that I told you. So for main job of that particular person is impersonation of being a police officer or of any authority and being a part of the workflow through which he is trying to cheat you. The second is the false acquisition. So more often than not, and I think why more often than not, nearly all the digital arrest cases, it has not been naming a genuine case. And if a genuine case has been named, it is primarily to give you a backdrop. The person who has been cheated, I don't think any of these people would have been accused in any of these cases or even distantly connected. So somebody will give you idea, okay, there is some this case, that terrorism case, that money laundering or black marketing or drug trafficking, any of these cases. But to best of my understanding, I don't know of anybody who has been accused, who has been a suspect, who is likely to be an accused, who is likely to be a suspect or a potential offender who has been duped with this nature of money. Most of the people are coming from white collar jobs and they have the fear of the law and they don't want to create a social stigma to their name, their fame, their capability, their expertise is of immense value to them. And after crossing this stage, it is a demand for payment. And demand for payment for what? This is the whole web which has been created, where you start believing that you have committed a crime or you are stuck up in a legal situation from which you cannot extricate yourself. So that being the situation, the only way out is that there is the money or some money which is to be paid. And by paying that, you will get rid of the mess in which you have got in is what you believe, but which has been in the creation of the scamsters. So these are the main 3 points on how this whole thing works. And these are the stages of this whole exercise. Why is it so effective? Over and over again, it is being told that this is a fake legal narrative. I don't know how much it has reached or how much it has reached the educated world. But because the victims have been from educated background, my understanding is that it has reached there. Why it is effective? So the one reason is that two journalists, one I was going through on the India Today channel, another was on the YouTube. So one from the India Today group and another from I think Asta. So both these victims, they talk about getting hypnotized. And over a period of time, they started behaving like dummies. They started behaving like robots and they literally started doing whatever was asked of them. How this psyche comes is very difficult to say. But this is the way we are trying to understand. So it is basically creating fear and panic that you are in danger and might be your future is completely jeopardized. So exploiting human psychology, this dummy robo thing makes you hypnotic. Might be you if you remember the Stockholm syndrome, which is between the hijacker and the people who are hijacked, more primarily in situations of aircrafts and all that. So I think it is something similar to that. Then a sense of urgency is put in that if you don't do this, it might end into a physical harm, or it might lead to a physical arrest, or something will happen by which you will lose your complete existential balance. Next is creating isolation. So the first thing they will tell you that you close your room, put your curtain, no light should come, you should not talk to anybody, you cannot communicate to any person. So isolation itself is a very, very facilitating factor for this particular crime, for these crimes to happen in a very, very smooth manner. So you don't get any support. You are in a totally different frame of mind. You are being talked to only by these cyber criminals, and you literally you have to fend for yourself. Social engineering, manipulating victim in compliance. So you come from the social engineering. Now this whole exercise is done based on that data, that process, that thought process which has been dumped on you, which you have internalized. Now the only thing left to you is to comply, and you get into this frame of mind where you start complying. There is a very well-known digital thinker, know about him. He talk of hacking at variety of levels with technology, with variety of other things. He talks of hacking of the mind. So once the mind is hacked, then rest everything follows in a very, very smooth manner. There are a couple of other things why this whole thing looks so real and why it is so effective. I was going through a couple of these documents which they put forth. For people like us who can discern legal documents, who can discern official documents, you can make out it writes some Department of Finance Affairs and then they write the Supreme Court of India. I can make out. But most of the people have not been very conversant with the legalese, with the systems, with the templates, and with the processes and the documentation and templates of the government, of the judiciary, of the enforcement agencies, and the investigative agencies. I think this is at a level where taking it as original, accepting it as original, I think it is pretty natural. I will not say that the victims cannot we were not able to make out because it is there once you are sold out to the idea that these are the genuine people, they are people in authority and they're doing their duty and it's through the legal process. I think the story does not stop there. Then the other important part is however much we keep telling people that WhatsApp University or most of the cyber world, there's huge amount of falsehood which operates over there. But the general understanding there is that anything which comes on WhatsApp, it comes on variety of digital mediums, that is accepted as the gospel truth. That is the new Bible of the cyber world. And with all its drawbacks, people are still not ready to believe that most of the things which are being communicated to them in the privacy of their mobile phones is false or is untrue or is partially true or it is camouflage or it is a process which does not exist. But with that multimedia sort of a product which is comes to your hand, you find everything to be true. These are done in well-designed studios. Might be a police station might not look that real as it is shown in the digital arrest sort of a scenario. And most of the things are done up so as people never doubt. Then taking only well, they talk of only well-known crimes. So passport-related drug trafficking, money laundering. So you are able to associate, and they will also drop in couple of things and couple of organizations which you have been reading of on a regular basis, and so you get the connection between the crime agency and the process, and you find everything to be natural, and there is nothing false about it. Now, there is also a system of online torture, the way they talk, the way they behave. If you try to behave in a manner which is not congenial to they getting their output, so they will start torturing you. And by the time you are completely broken, you are isolated. You just don't know what to do. Might be you are able to get over it. Might be you are calculating, okay, I have 1 crore rupee. If I give them 40 lakh, it's okay. So I don't know what goes into the thought process of that particular victim. And certainly he is not in a balanced frame of mind. About that, there is absolutely no doubt. So in that process, it goes on. And how does it all work? So you give some information while this interaction is on, and they use social media tools to get into more detailing, create more documentation, prove it to you they are there true, prove it to you that things are moving in the manner it should be. So it starts with FedEx, then it goes to Bombay Police, then it goes to Customs, then it goes to wherever. So cyber criminals are consistently innovating on literally every single component of this particular exercise. Because given the nature of crime, making 2 crores, 5 crores, 7 crores in the physical world is next to impossible. Think of a situation where 1 crore or 2 crores is looted somewhere and it becomes a national issue. Here 1 crore, 2 crores, 5 crores are getting swindled, is getting swindled on a daily basis. There has been very little investigative success. And no public domain database of these criminal gangs are available. So that makes it even more bleak. The game changing thought. So somebody rings me up and we go through the exercise. The game changing thought or the game changing feeling is when you start believing that you are talking to the right authority and you are going through the right process. Unfortunately, today, see what happens. There are how many stakeholders involved, or imaginary stakeholders involved, or people and organizations which are getting impersonated. So it is one FedEx, one Customs, one Police, one CBI, and all. There is a system of whitelisting in the technology world. If all the numbers related to these organizations are whitelisted, made public, and might be through the telecommunications companies, it might also say that is the government number. Like if your lots of things come suspected scam and things of that nature through say your most of these apps or even through Airtel. So they can also have a system where the government numbers of these particular agencies, primarily the enforcement and the investigative agencies, so some take or in whichever manner, you are able to differentiate. So you're sure of the fact that only these agencies and these numbers are true. Rest of it, you need not interact, you need not get into. Next is the crowdsourcing of numbers. So trusted numbers are there. There are untrusted numbers from where we will get calls. Till the time we get into 100% trusted numbers, and also we are able to reach a situation that we are completely confident of the fact that nobody will pick up untrusted numbers. I think we will have to do crowdsourcing of untrusted numbers, means the number by which I have been called. And I know that this is a fake number or this is indulging in one crime or the other, or in whichever way it's illegal, fake, suspect, scam, whatever. So that needs to be crowdsourced into a database which will help all other people because collaboration is the name of the game. As I told you earlier, the educated professional, the tech savvy, they are falling into this targeted targets. Why they are being targeted? Because it is big money, so we need big targets. And this Jamtara model, now it's getting outdated. So with OTPs and small amount of money, they're not interested in doing that. Might be the cost of these crimes or cost of running these crimes is so huge that nobody will be able to afford it. Suffice to say that large number of these call centers, which I call studios, are running in Cambodia, Laos, and variety of other areas. So they have cracked this model successfully, with no respite in sight. So currently, we don't see that there is anything which is going to happen which will bring this to a stop or bring it under the control of our enforcement and investigative agencies, or we will be able to bring a large chunk of these criminals and these criminal gangs to book in the near future. If you see the nature of crimes, I think most of it is related to Bangalore because I picked it up from some Bangalore newspaper. From CV Raman Nagar, it will be some technical person, a retired IAS officer, 70-year-old journalist, 1.2 crores. Then we see another IAS officer, Indian Institute of Science. Then another 58-year-old retired man. Now, beyond that, we have this Vardhaman and we have a variety of other people. There has been a retired DG who's also been duped. He has also worked for Intelligence Bureau, some retired IAS officer. So I don't think anybody has gone is out of the purview of digital arrest, number one. And I don't think any of us can claim that whatever might be the circumstances, I will remain unimpacted and I'm able to withstand and I'll be able to surmount and teach these guys election. I don't think anybody in that situation. When I started getting this information, I think a couple of months back, and people were asking my advice and suggestion and variety of other things, the first thing which I told them, how are you getting duped? There is nothing of this nature. But over a period of time, might be my thought process also changed after getting into the intricacies of it and detail of it. So I feel that the likelihood of most of the people to get duped into a digital arrest is real, and the government and all other agencies which are there to support the likely victims, I think they should also gear up at a totally different level. How data is scamsters? Easy data flow from our side. We have been putting data recklessly into the cyber world. That creates a basic picture. Then you have the social media. There are sufficient enough tools which will provide the connects, the patterns, where you have been doing, what you have been doing, in which manner. And we are more than happy to put our life on the social media. So social media tools can provide all the connection patterns. And AI would be doing, I presume, would be doing wonders with this humongous public domain and social media data that is available. And this is the first tool with which they come. Now, why do we fall prey? We have an authority bias. We are scared. One is the authority bias, that is by temperament, by DNA, by our upbringing, by our environment. And also, there is the fear of the agencies. There is a fear that we should not be on the wrong side of the law. I think the digital arrests have made it very, very clear that this particular, not the bias, the fear is reached to a level that people are not even in a position to think. And this is what the scamsters have manipulated in a manner to best of their advantage against all other stuff. which government has tried and these rational people have been thinking of on a nearly daily basis. A CEO of a company, I think with 40, 42 years of experience would be a man of a totally different level, but he lands into this mess. Next is the legal mess. In this country, nobody wants a legal mess. So to get rid of this legal mess, how our legal processes work, how long can you remain stuck up, how long can you remain behind bars technically for no reason, that induces fear. So feel lack of, and we feel that we lack legal and technical know. Even the best of the people, there might be a very well-educated person, he might be ophthalmologist, he might be whatever. But are we conversant with the legal technical know? We have not been conversant, and we have literally been forced into the cyber world, and everything has turned digital. So we have also turned digital. So that issue remains. Fight and flight mode. So generally, if you see danger, you get into either the fight mode or you get into the flight mode. But online is totally different. Online somehow you get into a compliance mode. You get into a very subject sort of a mode. You get into a robo mode. You get into a dummy mode. And in this country, nobody wants to be named and shamed in the public domain, and that is why we try our level best that we don't get into this at all. Now, I've been talking about that most of these calls originate out of India, and the nature of action we have been able to take is minimal in nature. We have not been able to prove any investigative success. We have not been able to bring criminals and criminal gangs into the public domain or take them through the legal process. But there is a foreign connect also to it. And there is a very, very serious foreign connect to it. And one of these cases, I think National Investigative Agency or one of these agencies have done. So there they lay out threadbare as to how that particular case has happened. And that was the app where this whole swindling was happening. It was not a digital arresting, but nonetheless, this is a reality. So Southeast Asia has emerged as a major hub for cybercrime. What is our connect with that? And why it has become a hub? We are a land of unemployed people. And we are ready to hop on to anything which is foreign to get whatever job. There is a whole infra which is operating on weak law enforcement, lax regulation, and a booming gambling industry. During the COVID times, their whole gambling industry, the casino and all that, they fell flat and they got into this trade. So today they have call centers. Those call centers primarily are studios. There are recruitment of scammers. So they go from this country for $1,000, $2,000 job, and they are literally digital slaves. They are digital coolies. They are forced to do whatever they are asked to. So the job scams transforms these people into digital scammers. There is a technical infrastructure which is really very, very seamless, smooth, state of art, which supports the whole thing. And equally, the support comes from weak law enforcement. So where do we face the challenge? Is the complex nature of these operations and involvement of multiple countries. So we are operating at a police station level. I've been talking again and again. We operate at a police station level, and they are operating at a global level. We are operating at a snail's pace with regards to our investigation and the money transfer and their operations, inclusive of our governmental money transfer and the banking money transfer and the telcos operation, is at an instantaneous level. But rest of it is happening at a snail's pace. Are we still bystanders? So this question, I leave it to you. I'll not give a reply. So this is the number which is supposed to deliver. What does it deliver? So that you have to look into. I've been told only, I think, in a program a few days back on India Today TV, that correspondent Richa or whatever her name is, so in that particular, she's talking about, she reported to this particular number, and she also went through the national, which has, I think, 1500 words, which you can put at the maximum, all that she has done. Then the Gurgaon police or the Noida police, they approached and they said, आपका तो कुछ नुकसान भी नहीं हुआ, so life goes on. And Indian Cyber Coordination Center. So my simple contention is that we have the infra in place, we have the resources in place, we have the expertise in place. It's just that we have to take one leap forward and start in the manner these people do. Start delivering in the manner they do, because you need to know the criminal, their processes, their methodology, their literally everything to match them. Leave aside going beyond them. So what? Have they delivered so far? It is a question mark. Beyond data, we have data. We shared the data. 704 lakh, 7.4 lakh, 15.15 lakh cases, and all this variety of data. This is available. What we have done with the data, what business intelligence has come out of it, I have absolutely no idea. What is the victim audit? At the end of the day, the victim will be able to tell you whether they are satisfied with whatever has been attended or not, and how can we improve our mechanism, or it is just a system wherein we are in a position to take all the data and not do a real justice to that particular data. There might be some 2% of the cases which are investigated and the money is returned to 2% or 8% or 4%, something of that nature, not beyond that. And these people are conducting their operations in full swing, and none of these things are getting dismantled. Only one call center of this nature which you hear of, I think it was with the UP police couple of days back. Then the other issues which are there, what has been the synchronization among investigative agencies working on cybercrime? This friend which I was talking about who lost 1.21 crores. So primarily when he goes to the police station, it gives him a feeling that it is working only on that particular police station and then we don't have other connect. The second important point is having lost so much of money, being a software architect, chief software architect. So out of disgust, he started helping the police, and he is writing a script or he's already written a script by which this new transfer can be controlled to a considerable level. Do we have databases of blocked video calling, IDs, SIM cards, mobile phones, and bank accounts? And if we have, it should come to the public domain and it has to be dynamic updation because things are operating at a real time level. So whatever we create, whatever we do, whatever our support systems are, it has to be at a real and dynamic level. And it has to be crowdsourced because there are lots and lots of people who are getting duped on a regular basis. Now, the whole story as we move forward needs to be controlled. The government has to make a positive intervention with all the wherewithal which it has created. Where we have gone or where we have reached. So, first we started with fake, we used to give some fake numbers, fake variety of things. And people started disbelieving. So we went into deepfake, which are AI generated stuff. It might be a video, audio, right? And people started believing. And that also, there are people who try to find out. So we got into what we can call now as the real fake, is impersonation. So people are there, people are doing it. Now this makes it very, very difficult to disbelieve. Next, mobile numbers whitelisting I have talked. Now bank accounts, in the 200, 500,000 bank accounts, which are being used as mule accounts. Now, how are those mule accounts being used? I think there cannot be anything else but a broken KYC. If the KYC is right, then I don't think mule accounts can run. How mule accounts can be controlled? That we will come to. Is biometric the only answer? I think biometric is the only answer for KYC as we move forward. Mule accounts basically transfer your couple of lakhs into a smaller number in a near instantaneous manner. There can be a business logic. That business logic says that any amount where there is a transfer of more than 1 lakh cannot be retransferred into 10 or 15 accounts in less than a space of 10 hours, 20 hours, 40 hours, depending on the patterns which we have seen. So, business logic is a core element of any software. Core banking software has any number of business logic on which it operates. Now, this business logic to ward off transfer of money into mule account is extremely necessary. So, KYC on a biometric basis and mule accounts through a well thought out business logic, depending on the data available with us, is extremely important. The telecommunication companies, they don't have any collaboration between them. They don't share databases. There is no sharing of real data. And I think all these scholars and all these numbers, I think they can just be stopped. If some amount of intelligence is put into it, government moves into the picture, and on a daily basis, there is some authority who takes care of the cybercrime, not only cybercrime investigation, but cybercrime in totality. And in the manner which cybercrime can be brought into control, which are the stakeholders, how do we move forward, what is the nature of understanding, nature of collaboration, what is the output. So all that things can be done. It is a very, very doable exercise because everything is digital in nature. And if the digital crooks can do things which are digitally available to them, we have much more wherewithal in literally anything and everything, and we can certainly deliver. Action to be taken on what I have been talking about, the telcos collaboration, databases, real-time sharing. Action has to be taken as per the way government directs. Mass mule account transfers we have talked about. Banks, so far, I think they are a part of, not a part of this particular picture. When they are the main people, we are discussing everything outside of the bank. They need to feel the heat. They have done the KYC, they have done literally anything and everything, and everybody is facing music, but for them. Then the platform, whether Skype or is WhatsApp or whatever might be the video calling platform. Now, in a video calling platform, let's put business rules there also. That beyond 30 minutes, there cannot be a call. For next one day, there cannot be a call if there are two 30 minutes call. Whichever way, we will think about it, sit down, get the intelligence from the complaints, that 7.4 lakh complaints which is there, and we will be able to fathom out a pattern and the time duration. There have been time duration of 4 hours, and if I'm not mistaken, there is a time duration of even 17 days. Imagine of a situation when that fellow is inside his house, is not able to talk to anybody for 10 days, 15 days, 17 days. It is an unimaginable situation, and government cannot keep its eyes closed, or it cannot remain but for being proactive. There can be a transaction limited to literally anything and everything. Depending, individuals can also do, banks can also do. It's a big transfer. If you give a check of 50,000 rupees, so those particular, my bank will ask me whether you have given or it is a. So they clarify, they validate. The same thing can happen. Isolation is the biggest facilitating factor which they have. And the time duration, long time duration of digital arrest helps them in becoming a beneficiary in that particular account and the transfer being happening. So I think beneficiary account or beneficiaries are activated in not less than 7 hours and might be goes up to even 24 hours, and the first transaction cannot be more than 50,000. So there are a variety of issues involved there which can be used to our advantage, and we have a golden window of 7 hours, 14 hours, whatever. If it is not going through the UPI route also, there can be variety of restrictions which can be put. That golden hour should be used to stop any transaction which is fraudulent in nature. And if AI is used, I think on this whole database, huge amount of patterns, predictions can happen, and based on that, intelligence, business intelligence action can be taken. All money that has been swindled so far has been through the bank. And if it has been through the banks, banks cannot claim any sort of a exemption of they not being a part of it. I'll not add any other word to that, but they not being a part of it as a part of they performing their official duties. If this happened, they have not performed their official duties properly. You can call it irregularity, you can call it dereliction of duty, you can call it anything, you can call it omission. That is left to you in the Sarkari power. And KYC audit needs to happen. KYC audit needs to happen right now, straight away. So as we move further, we need a media blitzkrieg wherein every person knows that there is nothing called digital arrest, and these are the numbers on from which the government calls. Clear, simple. Next is collaboration of all stakeholders, more so the enforcement, investigative intelligence agencies, and the telecommunication companies. Third is to improve our investigation might. Where the investigation might is there, there can be a vertical increase in the capability or vertical scalability as we call it. Where it is not there, at least minimal level of horizontal expansion of investigation capability needs to happen. Everything has to be on a dynamic approach, whatever I've been talking about, because everything is real time in nature, the support is required right there. Can the victim get support here? I'm in the midst of a digital arrest scam. Can I use my phone in whichever manner and I can get a support, or I can go to somewhere and find out whether this is right, that is wrong. So victim is very important. Victim trauma is equally important. Because if we are not able to provide victim support and if we are not being a part of the trauma redressal, then it will become very, very difficult for any government agency to claim that it is delivering. So we have to create a business model to match whatever the challenge is. Fortunately, we have the systems, we have the processes, we have the tech infra, we have the human expertise in place to create a new business model which is dynamic, real time, which has the wherewithal, which is legal, technical, finance, psychological inputs, everything needs to happen. And the final thing which I like to drive home, and as part of any lecture of this kind, I would always like to only put in these 3 points as the final thought, the final practice, the final emphasis, and the final training. These are the three things. If it is known to every single person in this country, I think we would have achieved at least half of the. We would have won half of the battle. That there is nothing called digital arrest. Enforcement investigative agencies don't work on video calls. And in criminal cases, there is no money transaction online. Thanks for being a very nice audience and thanks for providing me the opportunity to deliver this talk.
Thank you, Sanjay ji, for a very comprehensive presentation on digital arrest. I'm sure many of the questions that might have popped up in the Salil, is he there? Right.
No. She's Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Abhishek ji, are you there? Right. No, I just wanted to thank him for being.
Sorry, I was just on a phone call that had come. I'm so sorry.
Right. So, Abhishek ji, thank you for joining this event, and I just wanted to thank you for leading this team in preparing this handbook on maintaining cyber hygiene in our higher educational institutions. Would you like to say a couple of words about this handbook?
Yeah. Just I would like to congratulate the whole team. In fact, which worked for a pretty long time, from reviewing the report, making it more relevant. And this field is such that if you don't finalize the document quickly, then new things start coming to light, and you have to build that in. So a big congratulations to the entire team, which put in a lot of hours for finalizing this team. And I must make a mention of Diksha Rajput, who was always on it and trying to get it done and concluded, and all those who contributed to it. We heard from Mr. Sahai with regard to digital arrest today, but there's so much of knowledge that he has, which we can do that. To hope this series that we do is more and more relevant, and we do that. And especially in METI, we are implementing the information security education and awareness program. Under that also we do similar workshops across a lot of content, lot of material. I4C has contributed also a lot, Rajesh and his team. So we have a big responsibility, and I'm sure this document which has been created, the document handbook for cyber hygiene, especially for universities and colleges, will go a long way in educating our youth. And if they can be educated, they can be made aware, then they can become our real cyber ambassadors who can help educate the larger population, because they are the ones who will be running our country for the next 25-30 years as we move on to a developed India dream. So this document will contribute a lot towards that. So let's hope to continue to engage in making it better. Maybe after a few years, maybe a year or two, we may have to come up with a version 2 of that. So we look forward to getting all the feedback from the end users, all the university officials who have joined there. So once you start using it, if there's any feedback, please feel free to share it, so that in the next versions we can further refine it, make it more better, make it more relevant. So thank you for having this and launching this, and I'm sure this document will stand by us in the long time to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek ji. And I also see a lot of students who have assembled in different places across the country watching this program. Hello, students. Thank you for being part of this event. Please do visit UGC website and download this handbook on cyber hygiene, and then prevent yourself from falling into these cyber criminal traps as explained by Sri Sahaiji. Thank you very much to all of you. Let's close the event now.
Thank you, sir.